Welcome back to the Djellab channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are doing very well. We are here in Clubhouse 5, as we always are, in a slightly different area. But if you guys are in London and near Leicester Square and want to go to a sports bar, then make sure you check it out. Thank you so much for hosting us. Joining me today, Patrick and Alfie. Alfie, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel.
Thank you very much. Good to be back on.
How have you been the last couple of weeks?
Good. I've really enjoyed the footy on. I feel like I've watched a game every night. I feel like it's been brilliant.
Indeed. I have to agree. I do have to agree, though. I will say, the last couple of days, I've actually not watched anything because I've been in Devon. Lovely, lovely place. Patrick Van Straten, how are you?
I'm good, man. I've not watched much football. I've been doing all action childcare.
Fair enough. That I reckon that does probably have to come first. And also Arsenal are out of the Champions League, so no need for you to watch it anymore, is it?
Why is that relevant?
Anyway, as you can see by the title of today's video, we're going to be looking at some players that need to be leaving your clubs. We've got a nice little list here, and I might have screwed the boys over because originally I told them to just go and find some players that they think should leave their clubs, and we'll talk about them generally. And we will do that as well. However, I want to make it a little bit more fun as well and gamify it. And I'm going to say that I am also our super agent. We did this last year, and it was Patrick Van Straten, the Dutch super agent.
No, we never did this. We've never ever done this.
I swear we have.
This is a completely original format that was not used on any other show or channel.
That cannot be named. Anyway, I'm going to be the super agent. Call me Zachary Djellab, which is my name. I couldn't think in the moment. And anyway,
my God.
We're going to go through 3 different players each time and then see who we think we should select. You guys will also be my committee as well. And we can look into why they need to leave and why we should be picking them up to make them leave their club. And so we'll go with you, Alfie, for the first one. I think with a big name. We'll start off with a big name, please.
Do you have any of those, Alfie?
Yes.
Because this is the problem. Yeah, because we just did them separately. I feel like you've got some more niche options, and I was just
my biggest name.
The biggest names in football.
Bernardo Silva.
Big name though. Big name.
Big name. Very good. One of my favourite players in the last 5 years in Premier League, I'd say. I really enjoy watching him. I think that he's 30 in August, which when I searched that, it surprised me. Because obviously I was expecting more around the 27, 28 mark, but it's this 50 million release clause. That is the breaker. And I think if you're not interested, I think you need to be interested. Any club, really. I think there's obviously been the links with Barcelona. I think there seems to be a bit of rumblings that he hasn't really wanted to be at City for the last 2 years, 18 months. So I think the move is, obviously there's that 50 million release clause that is definitely going to be, I think there will definitely be a move this summer. Barcelona most likely. I was watching PSG last night. I was also thinking maybe he could play there. But he's just, look, he can play anywhere. You know, you've seen him drop in at left back occasionally. And obviously, that's with Pep Guardiola. But he's just so well-rounded. He's beautiful to watch. He glides, he creates, he scores. I think his goal scoring is really underrated. I think, look at the Real Madrid game last year. They needed the win there, and he turned up with a fantastic finish. Out of possession, he's always worked hard. I think you look back to October when they beat United 3-0, and I think in possession he controlled, he allowed City to win, but also out of possession he worked so hard, and I think he's brilliant. And I think if you're looking at Barcelona, you're thinking, how do we limit mistakes we've made in the past by giving Lamine Yamal 3,000 minutes every year, similar to how they've done with Fati and Pedri.
Yeah.
If you can have somebody that can sort of Champions League, play him right wing, or even if you need that sort of midfield, he can play as an 8, he can play as a 10. You've got like De Jong with Gundogan. That's a nice midfield. So I think he's very well rounded. I think it really suits. His stats are incredible, but obviously, you just need to watch it.
It's funny because I think the Barcelona move, from an outside point of view, feels wrong. As in, it's a club that, with the way things are going, is not the right direction and stuff. However, you can also understand from a Bernardo Silva point of view, who has obviously grown up in Portugal. He didn't grow up probably being a Man City fan. He probably grew up being a Barcelona fan. And so you can understand why that connection is there. I think that sometimes goes quite under the radar sometimes for a lot of players. And as you said, it's something that's been said for a little while now with Bernardo Silva. He's constantly pushed and tried to get some sort of move to La Liga and to Barca. Though it does feel almost like he has accepted staying at City, how long he has. But maybe this year in particular has happened because they said to him, well, look, we'll get you this release clause, and that means that you can then have this happen. The other question, though, Pat, is will Barca even be able to afford a £50 million release clause?
Well, I don't think they should pay a £50 million release clause. I mean, I see where you're coming from. Like, I do think he'd actually be a great problem solver for them because especially, when you have Gavi out with long-term injuries or Pedri, or when you want to spot Lamine Yamal, he actually can cover all three of those guys' positions to a really high standard. And Barcelona, they're meant to be a press and possess side. That's what every manager has wanted them to be. But they're actually not really very good at that under Xavi. And honestly, they have a load of guys in that team who are not particularly responsible in possession. You do need somebody who can control the flow of a game. You do need somebody who can keep teams pinned in the final third by doing comfortable possession, trying to pick those holes through. Like with Barcelona, it just feels often like they don't have the number of clubs in their bag that they should have. I kind of look at them sometimes and I think, this is like a transition side wearing Barcelona's shirts. Like, I don't really get it. And so when they try and do the possess stuff in the final third, I just don't think they're as good at it. You need forwards, essentially, who have really high pass success and also can wriggle through really tight areas. Bernardo Silva is one of the best in the world at that. Yeah. However, I think because of his age and because that price is quite high for Barcelona, I would only really go and sign him if I had a really specific need that I thought he could fit now. So, for example, if Arsenal, I'm not advocating for this, but if Arsenal were like, right, we need somebody for this left 8 role who's defensively sound, who can burst into the box and make a difference, who's also creative, take some of the pressure off Rodrygo, Bernardo Silva would make a lot of sense. For other teams, like for PSG, I think in the state they're in, for Barcelona in the financial state they're in, I'm not quite sure that I'd do it. My worry is he's going to go to Saudi or something. Yeah. But
I mean, that would be
really disappointing.
That would be really disappointing. Though I kind of feel like you said it there where I worry that Barca shouldn't do it for financial issues, but that's never really stopped them before, has it now?
Well, and you can see as well that if they do have to sell a major asset, so for example, if they could sell Frankie de Jong, who's been
they keep talking about that,
If they sell Frankie de Jong for like 90, 100, which is like probably plausible, and then they turn half that money around and get Bernardo Silva,
it's not bad.
Then it's not too bad, and you've at least got a kind of name to placate the fans.
Yeah, definitely.
It's quite hard to sell de Jong at this point and say, well, we're taking a flyer on X free transfer, or we're promoting this kid from the academy.
Well, haven't they also spoken about they're willing to possibly move on Koundé as well?
By all accounts, they're willing to do that. By all accounts, they're willing to move on Rafinha, but I don't think they're going to get their money back on Rafinha, even though I like the player. I don't think they're going to get their money back on Koundé, even though I like the player. But I actually think Koundé should be quite in demand.
Okay.
Because of his profile.
Yeah. Well, not many like him out there, that's for sure. But he's been pushed out to right back sometimes.
No, but that's kind of what I think it is.
Oh, okay.
So I think, with the way that a load of top teams are going towards basically having another centre back who plays
fullback.
He's
very on trend at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that from Man City and Arsenal. Definitely. Okay. Well, Patrick, I'll jump to you then for a player.
All right.
And who are you going to suggest?
Well, I'll bring a winger as well. I mean, insofar as Bernardo Silva is a winger. So I'm going to bring Kvaratskhelia.
Wow.
Okay. So, I don't know. Last season we were kind of like, well, he's in a great spot. However, it did feel a bit like you have completed Napoli career mode. Realistic, their chance to win the Champions League was last year and they didn't do it. And so now I look at them and I think, are they going... You could win another title, I guess, but the fact that they won that title last year to me is like the historic achievement.
100%.
And then this season, obviously you're seeing the fact that like a good manager and a good squad can mask a lot of issues, but those issues don't go away. They are only masked. And their managerial choices this season are staggering. They're now in 9th. Even if everything broke their way and every team above them lost all their remaining games, which wouldn't be possible, and they won all their remaining games, the highest they could get is 5th. So they're going to finish outside European football.
It's a bad title defence, isn't it? It's a very bad title defence.
And they've got some amazing players. It's a really good squad. And then Zielinski, I think, is going on a free.
To Inter Milan,
Good
signing. Inter Milan now.
So that sucks for them. But there's a lot of this stuff. And I kind of feel like, okay, Napoli have got their title and now they will slowly fall apart. And if I were Creature, then I'd say, I want to get out now. Because probably whichever goes first out of him or Osimhen, the other will have to wait a couple of years before they get their move.
And that's my worry. That Osimhen's, it almost feels like it's a done deal. That it doesn't, not necessarily where he's going to go, but that Osimhen will be the one that leaves
He's
this summer.
so injured though, man, that there's a part of me that if I'm talking to Napoli about Osimhen and they're like, give us 120 mil for him, I'd be like, well, how much is Creature then? And if they're like, it's about the same amount, then I'd be like, give me him. Like, that's the one I want.
Well, PSG seem to be the ones that are most interested at the moment. I mean, there's always talk about Chelsea, but I just don't think Chelsea can
can't
afford
do it.
can afford that kind of option.
I don't know. I mean,
this summer,
PSG also would make very little sense to me, given like the situation with their front line. Like they've got Colomboani, they've got Ramos, they've got Barcola, they've got Dembele, then they've got obviously like Zaire Emery, who's kind of like that midfield like attacker flex player. They've got Kang In Lee, like they've got Xavi Simons coming back. Like,
well, rumours he might be off.
Well, he should go. He should go.
You think he should? What, is in for his own career, or is it in for?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
He should go to like Liverpool or something. It'd be sick.
Yeah, I think Arsenal apparently looking at him.
Would love it. But anyway, like Napoli, third manager of the season, Francesco Calzona is now in charge of them, while at the same time being in charge of the Slovakian national team, which is like, you love to
Feels
see
like something
it.
like that's normally like a FIFA thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, you can manage this club day to day, but also, you've got the international ones on the weekend.
It's absolutely mad. And I just think, like, from Kvich's point of view, he's kind of been better this season than last season. His expected goals are up, his defensive actions are up, his chances created up, more shots and closer to goal. I mean, his more dribbles, better success rate, more progressive carries. He's got 16 goal involvements in the league. Last season, I think he got 22 in the end. He could equal that. He's probably not going to, but the underlying numbers are all as good or better than they were last season in a side which has been all over the place. Yeah. Like, he's shown that he's not a flash in the pan. And also, when you watch him, often with wingers, I think the issue is if they're not quite strong enough, if they're not quite athletic enough. Yeah. Because then it doesn't matter how good they look to be, at like scoring. Once they're in scoring positions, they can't get to those positions. Kvicha doesn't have those issues. Like, he always looks enormous, whoever he's running at. He is capable of getting past people with skill or with pure strength and pace. And I just think, how many teams in world football right now have a left winger who they cannot possibly upgrade?
Not many.
Real Madrid. And after that?
It's a great question. Not many. Not many. I think, would Arsenal be willing to spend that amount of money on someone to go compete with Martinelli?
If they thought he could also cover on the right, then maybe. But or if they thought, maybe we can play Martinelli on the right, something like that. But yeah, maybe Arsenal. But even then, like Kvicha right now is at least at the same level as Martinelli.
Yeah, no.
I would say he's been better this season, though I think Martinelli has picked up a bit recently, having had quite a bad time before Christmas. Yeah. So I don't know. I just look around and I just think, how many teams in the world could not do with this guy? And basically everyone could do with him. He's 22. I don't know. If I were him, I'd say, like, can you just let me go now? This is the time to let me go. This is obviously a rebuilding project. I don't want to hang around for it. That would be my angle.
You're right. I think he's going to cost a lot where it happened. Sure. And the other issue, as we said, is the Osimhen stuff. Like, if Osimhen goes, his value then also has an extra probably 50 mil added at least onto it to actually get him from Napoli in the same summer, which becomes very, very difficult. I think the Osimhen point for me is the biggest one. I just think he's going to be the one that goes this summer. He's almost waited longer, per se. So he's like abided his time a little bit longer. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. One of the players that I looked at, and someone that I've thought about a little while now, is Rodrygo.
How are you chucking somebody into this? I thought you were
I
thought we were pitching to you, but then you're just like,
I am, but I'm also we're a team. The way it works here in Zach Djellab Industries is we're a team. No one's better than anyone else. And so yes, Rodrygo's someone I've been thinking about for a little while now. It does seem like Kylian Mbappe is going to be joining, obviously, Real Madrid. And we also are seeing young superstar Endrick coming as well to Real Madrid. And it feels a little bit to me like Rodrygo may end up being the forgotten child, essentially. They've got all these fantastic players and exciting futures for them as well. But Rodrygo is a really, really good player. And someone who I think, personally, could in his own right be the star of a team and be the player that you build your team around. And look, there's a little bit that finds it a little bit difficult because sometimes Brazilians and Real Madrid just stay. They stay for a very long time until they're in their 30s, no matter what happens, or they end up retiring there like Marcelo. But the worry a little bit for Rodrygo is just I think he could become the forgotten person. I don't think Endrick's going to be playing incredible amounts of minutes next season, and actually maybe this suggestion is a little bit a season too soon. It could become something that we end up talking about again next year.
We've also got Djellab just coming back from injury.
Yeah, exactly. Another very exciting player with a huge future ahead of him. And Rodrygo himself isn't incredibly old, 22, 23 years old now.
He's not incredibly old.
Yeah, he's got a massive future, and he is an incredible player. Like, even just watching him against Bayern Munich on the most recent Champions League fixtures shows that he is someone that Real Madrid has become very important for Real Madrid and become very crucial in big games for them. You think back to the Champions League against Liverpool a couple of years ago and how big of an impact he had there. And I do wonder if Real Madrid are obviously going to be spending what they end up spending in terms of wage-wise on Mbappe, and we know what Real Madrid are like as well. Once they've got Mbappe, I don't think they'll be done there and then. Yeah. They will continue to look for elsewhere. The idea, I think, if someone came in with a very good offer, you're thinking now 120, 130 million pounds, euros for someone like him, whether they would think about moving him on. And I wonder if, again, next year... Again, it might be a little bit too soon, as I keep saying, but next year he'll be thinking, well, I'm now not the guy here that's being appreciated. I'm not getting the minutes that I want to get. And it could take, someone like Endrick getting forced more minutes than him or having to split his time with him for him to think, okay, a move could be on the cards here. And there are several, I think he can play across that entire front line, left wing, right wing, can even do a job through the middle as well. He has done for Real Madrid.
But that's kind of my issue, though. Like, Real Madrid, yes, Mbappe comes in, and Mbappe actually played right wing in his first season at PSG to great effect. But who else in that squad plays right wing to a high level?
Endrick can play. Okay, high levels. That's interesting.
It, really.
Yeah, it is Rodrygo's position. I completely agree. But will it be Rodrygo's position for the future of his time at Real Madrid? I don't quite believe that.
I don't know. I think he had a breakout season last year. Mm-hmm. That was where you saw his numbers kind of go up towards Vinicius level. And more importantly, I just look at it now and I just think, I just don't know what the alternative is to him playing. I don't know how they fill that position. Like, because I don't think they're going to do is do a front two of like Vinicius and Mbappe.
No,
so
I
it seems
agree.
to me much more likely that they drop a midfielder, which is something I'm going to come on to.
Okay, yeah.
Soon.
Later on.
Yeah, I just think that, like, I look at the situation and I'm like, well, if Rodrygo goes, then you're going to either have to move Lucas Vazquez back up to the right wing again, or you're going to have to play Valverde out there, which is
they have done as well, yeah.
It's an option, but I don't think it's like, but is that your preference? Like, in the same way that you can say Rodrygo, I don't think that he's going to like have that position nailed down long term. Are Real Madrid going to say, well, long term, our choice is for Valverde to play right wing?
True. But the issue for me more so is Endrick. They're spending a lot of money on a guy who he looks super interesting. He looks really fun. He looks like he can have a massive future. Sure. And they're going to, if they're not going to send him out on loan, which Real Madrid don't really do too often, then he's going to be getting minutes in that Real Madrid squad. And unless it's going to be up front, where you assume Mbappe is going to be, which you don't think that's going to be happening, then it's going to be on that right wing because they're not going to be displacing Vinicius Jr., are they? And so that's where I think the slight issues may come from. But we'll see. We'll go through all of the names and we'll pick the three that we want to go with later on. Alfie, back to you, my friend.
So breaking up from the wingers/attackers, I'll go for one of my favourite players at the moment, Jarrad Branthwaite of Everton.
A lot of interest in him at the moment, isn't there? A lot of
very
interest.
Good reason. So he's 22 in June. This is his first full senior season at Everton after last season going out on loan at PSV,
where he was really good.
Really good. I did a piece on his debut, and I'll just quote a few bits from it. He was best player on the pitch. His ability to break to the 2-8s ahead was very impressive. Comfortable on the ball, never rushed. A great ton of pace and ability to defend in wide areas. I hope that technically he comes out of this development year improved and we could have a truly great young centre-back first team. Honestly, when he was at Blackburn, you could see he's 6'5", he's quick, he's so comfortable. Big. But on the ball, it wasn't brilliant. And Everton haven't made a lot of great moves over the last 8 years. But the choice to move him onto a ball-playing side in the Eredivisie where he is, there must have been a real thing, right? Physical, he's got it. Let's bring up his technical game. Because it wasn't superb.
Yeah.
He's He's come in and it took him sort of 4 or 5 games for Dice to trust him, because Keane did start next to Tarkowski, but he's been brilliant. He can do it all. And he's English, he's, in the England squad, but in sort of, when Stones first broke out at Everton, you could tell he was going to be top.
What do you think the numbers of a transfer? Because I assume he's got a decent deal at the moment in terms of it, his contract isn't running out next year.
No,
I assume. So, what do you think the price would have to be to get him out there this summer?
Is a very difficult question at the moment due to Everton being an absolute mess. Because last year we had to sell Richarlison before June 30th.
Yeah,
I think we will, because of FFP. I think we will have that issue.
And you guys argued that he would have been valued 80 million, wasn't it?
But
which is not, really that crazy now. You look at that and you're like, that's.
Well, you offered. How much was it you offered by Barcelona?
About 75.
75. Yeah.
Jesus, but we have got Onana, who Dyche doesn't love. I like him a lot. If we can sell him and be sound FFP wise, obviously we still need a bit more money, but if we can go into negotiations saying we don't need to sell in a rush, I'd be pushing for 85.
So let's go with 2 here. So 85 if finances are okay.
55.
55 if finances aren't so good.
Which would be a bargain.
Yeah. Right-footed, isn't he?
2-footed.
2-footed.
Both footed.
Wow, okay.
Oh, hello.
Okay. But when Stones broke through, I think Branthwaite's better than Stones was when he.
And for his career going forward, where do you think would be best for him? Because obviously you see the rumours to United.
I wouldn't be touching United.
What do you think? What do you think the best rumour for him would be if he was to move on?
There has been links to Real Madrid over last year because of how good. Honestly, because of how much Ancelotti loves him. Ancelotti gave him his debut.
Oh God, yeah.
Ancelotti gave him his debut, and
Alaba's been injured, and Chouameni has been playing centre back.
Carvajal's been playing.
Nacho was starting the other, and I love Nacho, but Nacho was starting for them in the Champions League semi-final.
If you look at
it's not crazy for them to go and get Branthwaite.
No, if you look at their centre halves, they've got Militao, Rudiger, and then you're thinking, shall we go get some of them?
Yeah.
Obviously, the centre back market at the moment, especially in Ligue 1, there's quite a few young, but they're not as proven.
Nowhere near as proven for him. He's just thinking as well, agent-wise, a lot of money there to be made. That's for sure. By pushing his deal.
Hopefully, get a bit of a bidding war in.
Yeah, you're laughing.
We're pushing.
No, I think he's an incredible player. I think this season has really been a breakout year for
100%.
him.
Playing next to Tarkowski in front of Pickford, I think it's been pretty much perfect.
Be interesting to see whether Gareth ends up doing a little bit of a surprise move and taking him to the Euros.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes.
Just trying to think if there's anyone injured centre back wise. Stones is coming back all fit now.
I mean, Southgate is very conservative generally with his squad selections, but Branthwaite has now pushed himself ahead of somebody like Tomori. Quite clearly. And Tomori's got some pedigree too. I don't know.
Had a tough year, Tomori, actually.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
But, he's still a title winner in Italy.
Yeah.
I think Branthwaite would be justified in being extremely disappointed if he doesn't go.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially now with it being 26-man squad instead
of course, that's massive.
Originally being 23.
That might affect attackers more, but still is. But he was in the recent one. He didn't get any minutes. He was the only player in the squad to get minutes, which...
But Gareth does do that quite often.
Yeah, as an Everton fan, I'm not complaining. Going in when we needed to survive, I was very happy. But I think he will go United, though.
The future of him, what level do you think he could be reaching? Because the guy is obviously very talented, but...
I don't see anything that would hold him back. I think he's incredibly well-rounded.
Okay, good to hear. A very, very strong option, I think, there. Patrick, we spoke about Real Madrid for me. We spoke about Real Madrid for Braithwaite. I think you're going to be speaking about Real Madrid as well.
Yeah. Real Madrid have, over the last few years, recruited as well as anyone in the game, I think. Yeah. I mean, obviously it helps when you can recruit at the top end of the market, both financially and because of your pull as a club. But while you saw Barcelona make move after move in an attempt to sort of recapture the glory days, Real Madrid made all these moves for players who were in the right age bracket to deliver something now and give them more in the future. So obviously Rodrygo, Vinicius, you'd hope Hendrick is the next in that line. But in the same way that years ago they signed Kovacic when he was young, they also went and got guys like Tchouaméni. They got Ferland Mendy, who didn't really work out, but he's still playing for them in Champions in the last stage.
Yeah,
of the
I've been
Champions
impressed
League.
recently.
And now, the guy I want to talk about, Camavinga. So I love Camavinga. He is only 20.
Been around for so long.
He is at Real
20's
Madrid.
crazy.
16 years old, I remember breaking through.
And he is at Real Madrid. So obviously, you know, there's always the attitude when you talk about players leaving Real Madrid where people say, why would he leave when he can win titles there? Well, because you don't necessarily know what your future looks like and you want to play all the time. Now, he's still played a lot this season. He's got 1,500 league minutes, which is not bad. But Kroos has got more minutes. Bellingham's got more minutes. Tchouaméni's got more minutes. And Valverde's got more minutes. So he's the 5th most used midfielder.
Do you think that's unfair?
It's a tough midfield to be breaking into, and also hasn't he had to?
Given the season they've had, like I guess it's hard to say that it's the wrong decision.
Yeah. How much of those minutes been at left back as well?
I think his versatility has hindered him a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. And though you could also say Tchouaméni's plays centre.
True.
But it feels like now they're as reliant on Toni Kroos as they've ever been.
Yeah, he's been
he's had an amazing year. He's an amazing player, but he is in his mid-30s. Camavinga is incredible. You would want to see him starting to get past the baton, and it does feel like often his best way into the team is in a kind of makeshift role.
Yeah.
To me, that is not really good enough.
No.
Especially because Mbappe's going to arrive, and what they've been doing this season is playing 4 midfielders at a time.
Yeah.
They've been playing 4 midfielders and only 2 attackers. They've been playing Vinicius and Rodrygo largely. I mean, obviously Joselu and other people have got minutes, but generally speaking, it's been 2 attackers, 4 midfielders with Bellingham joining the front line. When Mbappe comes there, it's presumably going to be 3 attackers, 3 midfielders. There's 1 midfield slot fewer. Yeah. And Bellingham's not getting dropped. Valverde is the most used player. He's not getting dropped.
Tchouaméni won't get dropped either.
Tchouaméni probably not getting dropped. But maybe he goes to centre back. Well, then is Toni Kroos getting dropped? So whose minutes is Camavinga taking?
Going to be taking, yeah.
And he's 21. He can afford to wait a couple of years. It's not like he needs to get out now. He can wait a couple of years. He could win a second Champions League this season. but this guy's already won a title in a Champions League. So when people are like, doesn't he want to stay there and win trophies? It's like, he's won every trophy in the club game. Yeah. I get that it's nice to win more, but I don't think that necessarily your 3rd or 4th title is that much more exciting than your first. I think the first is the big deal. And I just look at him as well this season, and I think as a result of his versatility, you're seeing some of his numbers not
pop.
Be the best. Yeah. They're still pretty great. But if I were him, I'd be I'm a pretty good dribbler. I'm close to 2 dribbles a game. He's got 5 final third entries this season, 5 tackles and interceptions a game. This is down on last season. And those are still elite numbers. Yeah. So if I were him, I'd think he must have a vision for the kind of player he thinks he is. He must be I'm a 6, and I want to be spraying passes around and wriggling out of pressure. Or I'm an 8, I want to be playing next to more of a conventional stopper and I want to be bursting forward, which is actually how we saw him used when he first arrived at Real Madrid. You can picture him kind of bursting into the box. Well, he must have an idea of the kind of player that he is. And at a certain point, he's going to start demanding to have that role. And if he doesn't get it, he's going to want to leave. Yeah. Whether he's at Real Madrid or not, he's not going to want to be a bit part player for his entire career when he is objectively one of the most talented midfielders of his generation. Especially if it starts to hurt him with the national team.
Yeah.
That's the issue. France has an unbelievable number of talent to deal with. There are guys who don't even get a look in. Like Kakare and Enzo Lefebvre and all these guys who are incredible. They are probably not going to be long-term starters for France. But Camavinga absolutely should be. And I don't know. I mean, I think it obviously depends who comes in for him. A team would have to come in for him with a lot of pull. Yeah. So, for example, if Klopp were going to be at Liverpool next season, I'd be Liverpool should 100% be going and saying to him, come to us, you'll start for us as a number 6 for 10 years. You'll play under a great manager for a great team in a great city. Do you not want that?
But he's not there anymore.
There's pedigree. Yeah, and with him gone, then it's are we now talking about Man United trying to do this? Well, if they had a manager there I took seriously, maybe that would work.
Gareth Southgate soon.
So I guess that is a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, I want to see Camavinga play every minute, every week. I think he's amazing, and it frustrates me that I think he's probably the least loved of all those Real Madrid midfielders because I find him more exciting than Tchouaméni. As much as I rate Tchouaméni, I like him more than Valverde. As much as I rate Valverde, and he's got a longer future ahead of him than Toni Kroos. Yeah. So I just think it's time for him to get more of a leading role.
It does almost feel like whenever the next manager comes in, which does feel like it'll be next year. Yeah. Ancelotti, it seems like next season will be his last year, and I feel like we've said that a couple of times of Ancelotti.
Yeah, they should keep him forever. He's the best.
He is amazing. Yeah, they're the Xabi Alonso rumours we keep seeing. I wonder if then that's when we finally see, because I thought this summer we'd see them give only one of Modric or Kroos a contract, and they probably will end up giving them both another year. Yeah. And again, you end up in this same issue. I just think I think we're right with saying right now I don't know what club comes in for him that makes it worth it for him to go to, because maybe he does look at it and goes, well, if I just got to wait one more year where I'm still getting hopefully over 1,500 minutes in the league, and still having a contribution to the Champions League, then it's worth staying on to then be a full-time starter the year after Xabi Alonso or whoever.
You can sit around for another couple of years, because you can imagine Alonso really like it.
Yeah, of course.
And also, you think about, like, there seems to be quite a nice brotherhood almost happening there with them all being similar ages, and Tchouaméni, Bellingham that's there. I'm sure once Mbappe comes over, who's French too, there seems to be building a really good kind of core of players there for a long time. So, no, that's a very nice suggestion.
Does he not scream Arsenal?
I think he'd be quite interesting for Arsenal.
I've always thought that would be the move.
Would you think of him, though, playing as an 8 or taking a 6?
Well, obviously Rice has been brilliant there, but I think you could...
He's much silkier on the ball than Rice.
Yeah.
Like, I think he would probably go
as an 8
who
but
can
he
do a lot of
can
ball
do.
winning.
If it's change, you could have them in possession in a pivot quite easily. Wouldn't be bad. But then you'd want... I've been really impressed with Rice with his carries when he plays as that 8. But you are weaker when he's... I think as a team with Partey and Jorginho, they're not at that standard.
It'd be a nice problem to have.
It would be a very
nice problem to have.
In the really big games, I think Rice has been good as an 8, like in the league.
Yeah.
I think actually he had 2 quite bad games against Bayern Munich, and those were games where I was kind of like, okay, this is where like you not being elite as a dribbler, as a ball carrier, like that does start to hurt a little bit. And Camavinga is much better under pressure. And also gives you just a sort of different angle, I guess. On the other hand, you're still kind of going for a guy who's actually much more comfortable playing deep than getting into the box. And Arsenal, I think, are maybe looking for a more attacking player for that role. I don't really know, but I mean, obviously, if Arsenal went for him, I'd be delighted. I just think it's going to be a real courtship for whoever tries to get him. They're going to have to really say to him, like, we're going to give you huge wages. We're going to make you a starter. This is the clear defined role that we have for you, because he's certainly not going to leave Real Madrid for more uncertainty.
No.
So I think, from that point of view, that's one of the reasons that I sort of thought Liverpool or even United have that. Because at least United can say, we'll triple your wages and you're starting as a number 6 every week until you die. Like, and maybe that would appeal. Like, it's appealed to surprising players in the past.
Yeah. True. Very, very true. But we'll see what Ineos are up to. The next one I've got are some very interesting fan suggestions. So actually, Alfie, we'll go back to your one, then we'll do Pat's last one, and then I'll go finish off with these two here, because I think one of them particularly you guys might not agree with. So who is your other player? Is it a star? Is he going for 100 million euros?
Probably not 100 million euros, but I'm going to go with Jack Clarke from Sunderland.
I don't know.
Is he finally proving it now?
I feel that's slander to say that he couldn't go for 100 million euros.
I think
Chelsea would pay that for him.
Well, rumours say.
He's no worse than Mudryk.
Jack Clarke. How's he been so far this season, Sunderland?
I really like Sunderland. I think they've obviously disappointed year. They're currently 15th, but they're smart. The players they sign, the way they do things, and I think they've been incredibly smart with Jack Clarke. Because I think, he went to Spurs. He had that season at Leeds where he was great. He struggled for a couple of years. Now he's at Sunderland and he's really kicked on. I think they rejected a £16.5 million euro bid from Lazio in January. So I think that's where, I think you're thinking around, he's got 2 years left on his contract and his agent said won't be renewing. So I imagine...
It's a very cheeky bid. 60, like he's...
I think you're looking towards almost double that, really.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you're looking for 30. Look, you can play across front line. two-way winger. He is best when receiving wide with space to carry in front of you. I think he's sort of got that build that's sort of watching last night Bradley Barcola has, or like a Rafa Leao. He's sort of a bit of like an athletic ballerina. It's incredible to watch. Also, the way he sort of moves with it, the way what he wants to do with the ball, very similar to Jack Grealish. The way he'll sort of receive it, stand the player up, wait for them to engage. Saw a lot of it from Jadon Sancho last night, where you'd have Nuno Mendes sort of biting and he'd sort of move away from him. But he has got that pace as well. I think for the Championship, the pace works brilliantly, but I do think in the Premier League, what's preventing him from moving to a Tottenham, for example, and starting at Tottenham would be that sort of speed. I think the ability to sort of beat a man after they've engaged is great in the Championship. It's great in sort of different divisions. In the Premier League, I do think he could struggle, but his finishing as well been really good. I think he's not really a person that's going to dart in between the right centre-half and the right back. He's more wanting to receive it outside of their fullback and then isolate him, beat him, and then get a shot off. I think he's almost got, that sort of Aguero finish where it's no back lift, just into the roof of the net, powerful height. I think he's almost got that in his locker, and I think that's really impressive because you have a lot of these wingers that come through the Championship and they're thinking, brilliant, but output, is he going to hit the heights? But he's hitting the heights. He's done brilliantly. I think out of possession may be an issue. I think it might be tactical. He is often left up to sort of for the counter attack, but you can sort of tell when he's meant to attract his fullback and he's
he's not done it.
He does look lost. So that, and he's not the most intense presser either, but I do just believe that I think it'd be a good move to say West Ham.
Yeah.
Somebody that's wanting to push between 10th and 6th, one of those type of sides. And I think £30 million, not bad at all.
There are a lot more expensive buys out there that can 100%. Go a lot more wrong, that's for sure. I wonder if one of the newly promoted teams could possibly be looking into him as well. I mean, they've both got squads that have very good quality players. Leicester, in particular. I mean, we're seeing Ipswich. Yeah. Ipswich next year, I think, might have to do a couple of interesting bits of business as well. Yeah, it's
going to be really interesting.
And invest, especially in defence, actually more so than attack, but still. And then we'll see who gets the other automatic playoff. Crazy that Leeds actually might end up being in the playoffs, going up against a few other teams like West Brom and such. Well, in West Brom isn't 100% confirmed. We'll see on Saturday. But I like it. I like that we were able to cover a player who isn't maybe one of the Real Madrid superstars yet.
Almost.
But we'll see. Okay, a nice one to have there in our back pocket. Jack Clarke. Patrick Van Straaten, who's your final player, my friend?
Well, in a way, it's like someone somewhat similar in Noni Madueke. So another guy who impressed in a lesser division, and hasn't been able to establish himself at a upper tier Premier League side.
Yeah. Very quickly, would you, if you were a Premier League side with a winger, would you rather send them on loan to the Eredivisie or to the Championship?
Championship right now. Championship is
incredibly good. Okay, no,
just but I think it's also down to like team style of manager and stuff.
Of course.
Because there are managers who, if they're in the Eredivisie, you would happily send a player to develop under them.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm not sending a player to develop under like Peter Bosz. I'm just not.
Okay.
He's dreadful. Okay. But Noni Madueke, he's 22 and he's never played 1,000 league minutes in a season, and he's not going to do it this season.
Partially for injury.
Sure. But you kind of would like to have seen consistency from a guy. He's got just under 4,000 career minutes in the league.
That's mad.
Which is like
under
a third of someone like Bukayo Saka, who's about 6 months older.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So I look at, and whenever I see him, I think, oh, this guy's great. Like there is something electric about him. He's got 5 goals and assists in 700 minutes this season, which is pretty tasty. And actually, across his career, he's got a goal or assist every 137 minutes, which is like every game and a half. Like, that's pretty good stuff when you have had a stop-start career, when you did get started very early, when you came to a Chelsea side that was just like an absolute disaster zone. I don't know. I think that's kind of okay. And more importantly, I think when you get somebody out of the Eredivisie, kind of as I was saying before, my bigger worry is, does this guy have the athleticism?
Yeah.
Against Premier League teams? And he does. He does. Like, he He's often faster than his fullback. He's as strong as his fullback. He's clearly skillful enough to beat them. And to me, that's like a big red flag just dealt with. Injury, sure, that's a concern. And the fact that he doesn't have like a huge kind of back catalogue, a big CV, sure, that worries me a bit. But I also think Chelsea are going to need to sell. And I think Madueke is a guy who they'd sell with reasonably little pain.
Yeah.
They would rather sell Madueke than Gallagher. One of those is much more important to the team.
Yeah.
And I just think that Chelsea are going to have to sell. Every time you say this to Chelsea, they're like, we don't want to sell him, we don't want to sell him. It's like, tough. You have to. You're going to have to sell somebody you don't want to sell.
The issue slightly, I guess, is Gallagher is the pure profit, isn't he? Whereas Madueke was 30 million? 30, I think.
How much would you want for him?
How much would I want for him is different for how much Chelsea would want for him personally. Like, for instance, for his own career's sake, I agree. Like, I do think recently he's been playing a lot more, which is good. And like, he's managed to kind of come from this zone where like he was shunned to being a starter to now actually being a starter on that right wing. The slight issue you have, is I think Gallagher. There's the possibility he might go for 40 plus.
But I think they'll have to sell two. I don't think they could just sell one and that will deal with it. And certainly, if you were going to sell one, I think Gallagher would be like quite close to the bottom of your list of people.
I'd be keeping Gallagher.
Normally, as well, you can when you sell somebody, you do just like register all of that fee as like profit in that particular window.
For sure.
And it gets some of your amortization costs off the books as well, because that's the other thing with Chelsea. Every season they start in the red because they have these huge amortization costs. Well, if you get rid of Madueke now, then you get at least that off the books from next season onwards. You haven't amortized that much of his value, but I think that's okay because I think you can get your money back for him. Like he is.
Oh, a lot of places would be very interested in him. Goodness.
What level of club do you think he would go to?
I mean, if he went to a team like West Ham, that'd be great. But I honestly think, I don't know, maybe he can aim a little bit higher.
Spurs looking for a 1v1 winger.
I honestly think
back home.
I honestly think he'd be fantastic for Spurs.
I think
Do you not?
He'd be a very. They have got problems with that front line that he would solve.
And this is the thing. He's a great passer, and I think this is such an underrated quality. You talked a bit about it with Bernardo Silva, but when you're an attacker who has decent end product and you're a great passer, that to me is indicative that you can play for a big team.
Yeah,
because big
100%.
teams can't have like three guys who are all wasteful in possession.
Yeah,
there's normally only one guy, maybe two, who gets to do whatever they want and potentially lose possession all the time. If you dribble too much and you're always losing it, your manager's going to say, stop it.
Yeah.
If you're trying Hail Mary passes and they don't come off, you're going to get told to stop it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Madrid there you're describing.
or Cody Gakpo, there are loads of guys like this. But I look at him and I think...
He's good at both.
He's amazing at dribbling into the box. He's doing it over 3 times a game across his career, and he's doing it over 3 times a game this season. If he had 1,000 minutes this season, I think he'd be... Because that's kind of my cut-off. I think he'd be 6th in the league for carrying the ball into the penalty area.
Wow.
His defensive work rate's really good. He was in the Netherlands as well.
Yeah.
Everything about him I really like. And every time I watch him, even when I watched Arsenal absolutely batter Chelsea, like humiliate them, and just confirm to everybody that they should not exist as a club any longer. I was pleased when Madueke was not on the pitch. I was like, oh, good. He's a player that you're scared of.
He has the finish. I know we actually kind of recently saw it with Sane against Real Madrid, that kind of cut in.
That goal was mad.
Put it in. But we've seen him score it for Chelsea a few times, where the classic Iron Robin number, where they cut into the left foot and put it into the top bins, whatever it might be. He does have that in his locker, and like sometimes you always do think like, why don't defenders just block that? But essentially, you can't when they are that good at it. But
also, I think he has a nose that I think really good wingers have. Like Saka has this as well. Kind of you were talking about it before, with Sancho the other night.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Madueke quite early on in the game works out what the fullback does not want him to do, and then he tries to do it again and again and again. And he's a serious problem, and he's big as well.
Yeah, he is.
So I don't know. I just think the ceiling on him is really, really high, because you've got another couple of years before you'd even be expecting him to hit kind of peak output. I think he can aim certainly for upper mid-table, but probably higher. The thing that would stop that is his lack of track record. But if Spurs went and paid, if Spurs said to Chelsea, we will give you your money back, what was it, 35 mil, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
If they said we're going to give you that back for Madueke, I'd be like, I think that is
not a bad option at all.
I think Chelsea would want more than that. One other club has
More.
I think Chelsea themselves would want more than
Well,
that.
Chelsea can want what they want, but like it doesn't change reality.
I don't think they're in that position to ask for
Exactly.
45 million for
I
it.
think they've got to be like, okay, thank you, like we need cash.
A place I was just quickly thinking as well, if Dortmund don't want to pay the 50 million for Jadon Sancho,
I could see him there.
That would be
really
fantastic.
Nice.
Madueke
I'd like
at
that a
Dortmund
lot.
would be a very nice little move there. No, it's interesting. I don't think they'll sell him.
Really?
My genuine opinion, I don't think.
Who will they sell?
It's a very good question. I think they'd look to sell Cucurella. I think they'd look to sell.
Won't get enough
I
money.
think they'd look to sell Gallagher. I think whilst you think
they'll look to sell Gallagher?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that would be a mistake.
But they're gonna try and sell him, saying, "Well, we'll sell him to you for 60 mil," and everyone will say no, and they'll wait 4 weeks, and they'll be like, "How about 40 mil?" And Chelsea will say no, and then they'll wait another couple of weeks, they'll be like, "How about 35 mil?" And Chelsea will be like, I don't know. I just feel with Gallagher, like, I don't think somebody's gonna come in and pay like 60 mil straight away unless there's a bidding war.
Yeah.
And Cucurella, if you get 15, you'll have done well.
Yeah.
And I like Cucurella,
I
but no one's giving you big money for him.
I just remember last year everyone talking about Colwill and like how he's going to go and all this kind of stuff. I just kind of see it with Madueke. I just don't think.
But you didn't need to. But no one thought you needed to sell that.
No,
like, that was
you're
before.
not wrong.
Like,
You're not wrong.
That the issue there was that Chelsea wanted to keep him and Brighton wanted to buy him, and Chelsea said no, we want to keep him. That's why he didn't go.
There was no
this
pressure last
season,
year.
Chelsea have got like
You've got to sell.
have got like the tax man at the door being like, "Hi, we need all your money and to know what you've been doing for the last 2 years." And Chelsea are like, "Oh God, we haven't got any of the receipts on these idiots, and they're all crap, unfortunately." Not all crap, but like 80% crap.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
What do you think? How does Amari Hutchinson affect?
I think there's a chance they sell him.
Do you think
Which
that'd be
is
a
crazy,
shame?
but like I think he's been amazing. He's been obviously been fantastic in the
How much
championship.
was you?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think the other interesting thing is what they might do is I don't. The issue with Hutchinson, I don't know what level say that. I don't know what level say the board or the people above think he can get to. If they think he can be a starter for Chelsea, they won't sell him.
No.
If they think there's a chance where, like, obviously, I think there's probably a very strong chance he probably goes back on loan to Ipswich.
I think that would be really
if
smart.
They get promoted.
I think if that's what I'd do.
If
they go up,
whatever
give him
happens,
back.
he'll have a loan at a Premier League club. Whatever happens, and if Ipswich go up, it'll be that. I don't think he'll be like starting for Chelsea next year. But we'll see. We'll see. Crazier things have happened. Okay, then. Those are some really good suggestions. I also want to mention two here to get your opinions on from fans as well. This first one comes from Arjan, or Arjan, and he has suggested Darwin Nunez needs to leave Liverpool. Now, this comes after the week as well where I saw something go viral about Liverpool fans complaining that if Darwin Nunez is their star striker, they can't win a league because he won't ever reach 20 Premier League goals.
Are we talking from a Liverpool perspective? He needs to leave
I mean, we can talk about both. We'll talk about Liverpool, from a Liverpool perspective.
Because
could they sell him, and where would the best place for him go?
we were talking beforehand, and you don't need a 30-goal striker to win the league. That's just not what you need. And I think if Liverpool were to sell him, I don't think it would be financially viable. Like you take a loss.
But is he the guy to lead Liverpool's attack? Like, if Salah, I know that we've seen rumours actually that Salah might stay for next season, which has been quite interesting. But if eventually Salah does leave, is Darwin Nunez going to be that guy who can lead the attack for Liverpool?
Does he need to lead? I just
or be the goal scorer, be the leading goal scorer for Liverpool?
Who in that attack has superstar potential?
I would say Darwin Nunez. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I would have said Jota in the past, pre-injuries, but, you know,
it's not
we are where we are.
right?
Luis Diaz is old enough that he is the player he is. He's not really going to, like, make strides. So Bosley can make strides, but he's not going to make strides as a forward. It's going to be as more of a creator. So your best case scenario for him is probably the output, like, that Arsenal get from Odegaard or something, where you do get, like, 20 goal involvements, but it's split between goals and assists. So who in that attack can do it? It's not Gakpo. It's not Harvey Elliott. And Nunez, okay, he is wasteful. And honestly, I don't think that's going to improve. I think, like...
It's 18 Premier League goals he should have by expected goals.
Players at that age, their technique tends to be what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you don't suddenly, like, in the year between your, like, 23 and 24, like, get amazing
Figure out
technique.
how to do
It's
it.
just not how it works. But most players finish at about XG levels. You know? And so the chances are that he will probably come back towards his XG. and his XG is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, he misses a lot of big chances. He gets a lot of big chances. Who else is getting those big chances? So I don't know. I think you have to put Nunez there, and I think you have to think about the way the rest of the attack functions. But to me, what's let Liverpool down this season is nothing to do with the attack, it's to do with the defence.
Agreed.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think it's weird to me. I think Arsenal almost won the title last season without a striker getting to 20 goals.
Yeah.
And when Arsenal didn't win the league, it wasn't because of their attack, it was because of their defence.
Yeah.
City won the league the season before. Their top scorer was Kevin De Bruyne with 15 goals. This belief that you have to have a 20-goal a season striker to win the league is just not true. It's just not true. And you can have a 20-goal season player and not win the league, probably about 3 teams are going to prove this season. I don't know. I just think it's a really kind of reductive way of looking at it, and I think it's based on a picture of the Premier League as it was and not the Premier League as it is. I think it's like Mourinho era thing. And that's all very well and good, but it's just not how it is now.
Okay. No, nice to hear. I do agree. I do tend to agree. I think Darwin Nunez is someone who... He's one of those players I feel like if Liverpool went and let go, it wouldn't shock me if, say, the year after everyone's going, why did Liverpool move him on? He's just had an unbelievable season for AC Milan.
The other side,
whatever club went.
The other part of it as well is penalties, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to say, but the other part of it is penalties. In the past, your striker would take all your penalties. Yeah. And a striker would get like 5 penalties a season. So your 20-goal a season striker might actually be a 15-goal a season striker. Yeah. Well, if Nunez took penalties and played every minute, do we think he'd hit 20 goals? I think he could easily. I don't know. I just think those things factor into.
I completely agree. I wouldn't be looking to sell Darwin Nunez either. And I don't think he needs to leave Liverpool. I think he's at a nice club where he can be developed really well.
He's at a nice club. Nice. He is at a nice club.
And also be interested to see what Arne Slot does with him.
Well.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting what he does in general with Liverpool and how that goes. Okay, then the other one, this one comes from Joe W. And he said that Michael Olise needs to leave Crystal Palace. And I don't agree.
I don't think he should go to United.
I don't think he should leave yet, man. I just think he's not playing. Like, I know last year he actually managed to have a solid season, but this hamstring issue,
he's fine where he
is a little bit worrying for any club looking to go for him now.
Definitely.
He started 11 games so far this season. The reason he managed to start so many last year was because of the World Cup block in the middle, where he came back from injury and then was able to basically just start fresh from January. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's someone who has the ability to be something really special. And you can see why clubs are interested. You can see why Chelsea nearly got him last year. And also, it's funny how that works out, because ultimately they got Cole Palmer because they didn't get Olise. But I just think right now he's at a club which have a really good manager in Glasgow. They're doing some really fun things there. I think it's a place which is really solid for him to develop, where he can kind of not have the pressure of having to play for a Manchester United and have to be this now. Because I think it's something around £60 million that would be worth it for him, which I think like his ability-wise, I think is worth it.
Definitely. Especially Crystal Palace.
Yeah. The issue is I just don't... The fitness is a real big worry at the moment for him, and I just don't know whether another club, he gets the same kind of bandwidth as he does at Palace, really.
Yeah.
I can see from his perspective, is he going to get into the France team from Crystal Palace? No. If he backs himself and believes he can move to this top club and then performs, France squad. That's the only... I think there's a real issue at the moment.
He can play for England as well, can't he? He can play for England.
Yeah, but is he going...
Because he hasn't played for the French squad yet.
Is he going... I haven't heard anything.
I've not seen... Yeah, we've not seen...
You've got even less of a shot there, though, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Arguably.
I think there's I recently saw rumours about Florian Wirtz go to Real Madrid. He needs to do it.
Yeah.
I think everyone just needs to relax. Just have a year where you can just... There's got to be a top club. Hold all these players. It's dull.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I hate the transfer window. I think...
It's not career mode.
No, exactly. Just chill out, Crystal Palace for a year. How old is he? 21?
22, I think.
22. Chill out, Crystal Palace. Have a great time under Glasner. Eze might leave.
Yeah.
Step up. Perform. Stay fit. Then move.
This summer, if I said to you, which player do you think the club should go for? I would say Eze.
Yeah.
Just for the injury. I think the Olise injury issue is... also it actually looks like Mark Gehi might be on a move as well.
Really? Joachim Anderson's had a good... He could be brought out as well. That could be interesting.
But yeah, I mean, maybe Mateta will be the one that leads that does it after the way he's been finishing this season. But yeah, I just think right now he needs to get this. I don't think any club would be smart enough to go until you see some proof of like a next season where he's fit and stable for the year.
100%.
Yes. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, like, United might do it.
Yeah.
United might do it just because they're like... And to be honest, I agree with you about, like, if I'm a big team, I don't necessarily think we've got to go and get, like, all these talents right now. But I do think if I were Olise, given my injury history...
Oh, he will want to push it
and
as
you know,
possible,
like, if United came in, even though it's not, you know, the best environment, you'd be like, I'm better than their right wingers.
Yeah.
I can... I'll take that role.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, we'll see what happens. He is... I just think for his own sake of like... Well, no, for his own sake, yeah, move. You're right. Because that way you get the most money you can possibly get. But for his like footballing career sake, like...
Just relax.
Just get this injury under control, because two long-term hamstring injuries in a row, season on season, isn't a good look. But you never know. Some players come back from it. Some players... What is a good thing, what I will say, is his ability to come back from injury and still perform and look good. Because there are some players that come back from this stuff
and it takes 4 weeks.
Doesn't happen at all. And obviously we saw how... And I don't think this year it's been handled well, where we saw... Remember Roy Hodgson played him for like 20 minutes in a game that wasn't needed, and then he did his hammy. So I wouldn't be going for that. Okay, so the players that we've got to go through are your three each, and then my extra suggestion of Rodrygo. I'm going to chuck Rodrygo off the bin. I just wanted to talk about him, to be quite honest. Possibly put him on the thumbnail. We'll see, and get him out there. It actually might be for a conversation for next year, to be honest. So, I think in terms of getting the most amount of money, we can't be looking at Jack Clarke.
No.
But that is on me. That is on me. But I think it was good to have that suggestion. I think Branthwaite is someone I want to be taking.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I think I also want to be taking Camavinga.
Yeah.
If we can get him a move. If he doesn't want to move, then I don't think it's going to be great fun. And then you had Kvaratskhelia and the other one of Madueke, and you had Bernardo Silva. I'm going to go Bernardo Silva because it's guaranteed to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely a move.
I think it's a lot less work on our side here when we get him moved than someone like...
I don't know, man. That's been guaranteed to happen a couple of times, and it hasn't
I think the release
happened.
clause changes.
He will... I reckon as
long as he wants to go.
He'll cry if he doesn't move. That first Premier League game of the season, he'll just cry whilst wearing the Man City colours. But we'll see what will happen on that front. Okay, then I'm going to do one really quick fire question, guys, for you right here. Why are left-footed players better than right-footed players?
You see him less often.
You see
him less often.
You see him less often. Very true.
I think so.
Is there just also a little bit more? It looks a little bit more cultured with it. I think there's always that word that comes. Left-footed players are more cultured.
Yeah. No, you never hear cultured right foot.
Yeah, you never hear cultured right foots. I think it is genuinely just that. Like you don't see him as much.
See him less often. I think
you look at a team sometimes and they have two left-footers. Is a lot.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Just deny the premise of the question. Like they're not better. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, maybe because we've just come out of an era where, you know, we had Messi.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about this a lot, and obviously, like, Salah established himself as like a Premier League great. I don't know, and now Saka's kind of doing it. I don't know. Like, if we were talking about this when it was like, you know, when the best players in the world were like Brazilian Ronaldo, Zidane, Ronaldinho, Thierry Henry, then like we probably wouldn't be saying it quite as much.
Yeah, true.
You know, like at that point, I think everyone was perfectly happy with the idea that right footers were also
pretty good,
quite good.
Nice. Okay, well there we have it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, lads. I really do appreciate it. Next week, keep your eyes peeled as well, where we'll probably be discussing something to do with the Premier League. I'll also be putting out my own video as well, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. I think maybe that will be going out on Wednesday. Alfie, for the lovely people at home, where can they find you?
Alfie.Biggs on Twitter.
Nice, there we have it. Patrick Van Straten.
You can support my podcast, patreon.com/PatrickVS. You can check it out. You can also just find it on your favourite podcast app, Unseen Incidents, with me and Pete Dorman. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to do that. I don't know why you would.
And Instagram. Instagram, your new fashion info page.
You can follow me on Instagram. It's got nothing to do with football. It's literally pictures of my clothes and my children.
Well, if you want to do
Don't
that,
say that.
Yeah, I know.
Leave that. Move on.
If you enjoyed the video, like the video, get in the comments below and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you later. Bye.